All right, back at it after posting that first video for e-learning number 4. So we're talking about Carl Jung and the differing archetypes. Um, Once again, within the collective unconscious, there are these models of behavior that he calls archetypes. Probably the best example I can give to you is the universal archetype of the mother. Again, he does believe that these archetypes, or again, models of behavior, do lie in your collective unconscious. And so, when looking at art from centuries ago, when looking at stories from centuries ago, when looking at a brand new mother who is stepping into the role, according to Carl Jung, we know how to act and how to behave and what to do because of this universal archetype that lies within our collective unconscious. There are many of these universal archetypes that Carl Jung discusses in his research. But some of the main examples are, number one, the mother. Number two, the hero. And obviously, again, I've already talked about kind of this carving comes from the Iliad, from Homer. Again, this is from kind of way back when, during the Crimean Wars and even earlier than that. And so when looking at kind of this question of the hero, what a hero does, and even how heroes at times have flaws, they are not kind of always perfect. Obviously, that's a story that we have the opportunity to understand that, hey, it's not unknown to us. We've seen that story before. And when you look at obviously kind of the Marvel era, I know Superman's not in Marvel, so don't screenshot this and come yell at me. But when looking at the idea that heroes do certain things, but they're flawed characters as well, they're not perfect. That idea of what that is, according to Carl Jung, comes to us from the collective unconscious. So. We then have, obviously, kind of another universal archetype, and that is of the villain or the trickster. So whenever you talk about kind of from Norse mythology, the idea of Loki, from Mongolian mythology, there is a villain or trickster very similar to Loki. From even like Celtic mythology, I can't remember the name of the individual, but we have these examples of this figure that is kind of the seeker of chaos, the seeker of foiling the good that is going on in the world. And obviously, we can see a perfect example within the Heath Ledger portrayal of the Joker in the Batman saga from a couple of years ago now. But again, according to him, this is that idea of the universal archetype lying within the collective unconscious. We know this because of generations past, and we are connected to those generations past because of the collective unconscious. Now, within the personal unconscious, there are what are called, according to Carl Jung, the personal archetypes. These are a little bit different than the collective unconscious universal archetypes in the idea that they aren't necessarily models of behavior, but they're components of our personality, according to Carl Jung. So the first one is what he calls the persona. Okay, the persona is our mask. It is very literally the mask that we tend to wear when we're operating within the world around us. It's who we are supposed to be, and we kind of create our own masks depending upon what we want ourselves to be perceived as. We do use these, according to Carl Jung, within the personal unconscious to kind of sometimes cover up our true characteristics, what we actually are. What we're not willing to allow our ego to have to deal with the fact that we are. But this is often what we try to do to become more like the universal archetypes. So for me, I may kind of put on my mask a heroic kind of component of my persona, but that is just covering up who I really am. It's not actually who I am. So one of the personal archetypes from Carl Jung is the idea of the persona, our mask. Another is then the shadow. Obviously, if we're wearing a mask, there's something behind that mask. And so truly from Carl Jung, that the shadow is what is behind and lies in the shadow of the mask. This is kind of like this undesirable area of our personality that we're trying to cover up constantly, but we always can't. It doesn't work all the time. The shadow is kind of this garbage can of the different kind of parts of ourselves that we don't really want to admit to. So obviously our defense mechanisms, Carl Jung was a wholehearted believer in Sigmund Freud's defense mechanisms. We rationalize or project things that are in our shadow to make ourselves feel a little bit better. Another component of our personal unconscious and one of the personal archetypes is the anima or animus. This is the soul. This one's hard to explain, and for us, we don't need to understand too much about it, but the anima or animus is kind of our inner opposite. It completes our whole self, according to Carl Jung. So the belief is that for kind of any male, they will have an anima within us, and for every female, there'll be the animus within us. It's kind of the inner opposite, the inner aggressor, or what have you, depending upon if a person's male or female. Again, inner opposite is in large part what you need to take from this idea of the anima and animus. That's really what you need to take, so we'll just leave it at that. Then there is the self. The self is, what's going on here? The self, according to Carl Jung, is kind of our holy grail of our personality, like what we want to be. This is the perfect example of who we are and what we're striving to be. Some of us get there, some of us don't, but this is kind of what we're all striving towards, according to Carl Jung. So even though we talked about Abraham Maslow with his idea of self-actualization, Maslow was not, do not get this confused, he was not a psychodynamic theorist. He doesn't believe in any of it, wouldn't have believed in any of this. But there is some important components to this, some interesting stuff that connects the two theories, even though they're very starkly different. So that is the self and perfection. And that, in large part, is Carl Jung's theory of personality according to the psychodynamic theory, especially for neo-Freudians and social psychodynamics. So, quick review. 3 components of the mind, according to good old Carl Jung, are, of course, we don't need to get back into that, that's for sure. 3 components of the mind are the ego, the collective unconscious, and the personal unconscious. According to Jung, ego is the same as Sigmund Freud's ego. Your collective unconscious truly is this part of your mind that connects all humans that have ever lived on Earth with you. It gives us our universal archetypes. I think examples include the hero, the mother, the father, and others. And then there's the personal unconscious, which does contain some personal archetypes, the persona, the anima, the mask, the shadow. Those are all examples of our personal unconscious archetypes. So, very different. Another unique view. I know a lot of you, when talking about all the psychodynamic material, a lot of you kind of look at this stuff and say, wait, hold on, seriously, this is what creates my personality. It's a theory. For many of you who are much more analytic and don't agree with any of this, the next overall and overarching theory is going to speak a little bit more to you when we talk about trait theory. So, but that in large part is the psychodynamic theory of personality that completes it for us. So what I'd like to take you through now is your opportunity to get some work in. And so what I'm going to ask you to do is log on to your College Board site. And when you go to the College Board site, it looks like this changed on me a little bit, but that's okay. When you go to your College Board site, go log into your class. What you're going to see is there is an opportunity for you to take a little bit of a quiz. Ungraded, obviously. It's really just an opportunity for you to be able to test yourself a little bit. Yeah, of course, this isn't working now. In my absence, and I was moving things around, it of course didn't work out right. So give me 1 second. Let's pull this up so you guys all have the opportunity to see this progress check. I don't want you guys getting confused on it. Oh, looks like we are good. So looking at my screen, this is going to look a little bit different on yours. But what I'm going to ask you to do is, as soon as you view this video, which should be after the first one, of course, what I'll ask you to do is, once you feel confident over all this material for the psychodynamic theories in personality, just go ahead and click this this file, and it's going to open up a series of different questions for you. Now, only a couple. And again, not graded, so you don't have to do this. And they are multiple choice, so I get that some of you are saying to yourself, like, why do I have to take multiple choice questions? Obviously, the content and the terms within are what is most important, and they'll help you out for sure. I don't want to assign to you an FRQ because I get it, many of you won't do it. But if anyone is having trouble with this, make sure you let me know. But again, this is on AP Classroom. Don't get confused. I'm not posting this on Schoology. I'm not going to post a link there because I can't. Instead, it is on AP Classroom. Just go into your class. You'll see I have now opened up a new progress check for you, and it is all psychodynamic and introductory personality questions for you to test yourself. So All right, let's go back to then the daily agenda. A couple of quick reminders. Again, March Madness brackets are due today. Make sure you get those done. Next Spirit Week item is tomorrow. I think it's Leopard Print and Books or Wildcat Print or something like that. Make sure you check on Twitter with Mr. Stevens, his Twitter account. You can see what exactly it is. And then, yeah, College Board Progress Check. I've talked with you about that. And that is that. Once more, hopefully you guys are all doing well. I know we're getting stir crazy here, especially my kids, but I hope you guys are doing all right. Thinking of all of you, saying the prayers for everything to go well this week, especially. I think this week is going to be a really telling week with the stay-at-home orders and things like that. But I hope everything's going all right. I hope you're all staying safe, and I hope you are all happy and healthy, or as happy and healthy as you can be. So if you guys ever need anything, please make sure you reach out. You know my email. Shoot an email over. But yeah, take care of yourselves. Bye.